Welcome, everybody, to episode 49 of UnHacked. Guys, today we are going to get down dirty and maybe even bloody. We're going to talk about Apple products versus Windows. We've got a special guest here today to help us break that one down. We've got an Apple lover, we've got an Apple hater, and we've got an Apple neutral. So with that, here we go, guys. UnHacked is a bit of a deliberate misnomer. The reality is we can prevent breaches way easier than we can unhack them. So once you get hit, it's really hard to come back. There's financial loss, there's emotional costs, there's reputation damage. So we're going to stay always on the hope, the wish, the dream that we can prevent all of these things. That's what we're here to talk about. Apply the basics, keep the bad guys out, and then we never have to get into this world where we're trying to restore because, God, that's just a mess. So here we go. I am Justin Shelley, CEO of Phoenix IT Advisors. And like I said, I keep people's bank accounts safe from Russian hackers, from government fines and audits and penalties, and from attorneys who want to come around and sue you after you've been breached. That's what I do. I do work in Texas, Nevada, and Utah. As always, I'm here with Mario. Mario, tell people who you are, what you do, and who you do it for.
Mario Zaki, CEO of Mastec IT. We are located right outside of Manhattan in New Jersey. And been in business for 21 years now, helping small to medium-sized Windows users from staying safe and protected and sleep better at night.
So I was going to say, Mario, are you the are you the Mac lover, the Mac hater, or the Mac neutral? But you gave it away. So I think we're clear. There's only two left. And with that, we're going to go ahead and introduce today's special guest. Today we have Damien, whose last name I am not going to try to pronounce. Damien, say your last name for me.
Schreurs.
See, that's why I'm not going to try. Damien, where are you from? Belgium, is that what you said?
So I'm Belgian, but I'm living in Luxembourg.
There we go. Shows you what I know about geography. I don't even know where these places are, guys. I'm a security guy. I'm not a geography guy. Or even worse, I could say I'm not a geologist. Really show my ignorance. Okay, so Damien is the explainer-in-chief of EasyTech, a company providing IT training and coaching on topics like, Mario, you're going to love this, Apple products. Oh, Microsoft Office. Okay, so we got some neutral ground. Cybersecurity, we can all agree on that one. And all things artificial intelligence, AI. While doing that, Damien, I believe you also have a podcast. What's the name of your podcast?
Yeah, it's Macpreneur.
Macpreneur podcast. How many episodes do you have now?
I have released 137 today.
137?
Yes, 137.
Oh,
nice.
Mario, we got to get our act together. He's kicking our ass.
Yeah, we need to do it like twice a day.
I know. Yeah, we're going to have to catch up. Anyways, Damien, thank you for being here. Tell me a little bit about your podcast, what you talk about on there.
Yeah, so it's the podcast for solopreneurs who cannot imagine running the business on anything else than a Mac. So the opposite of Mario, basically. And I help them. My goal is to help them be more productive, more efficient, so that they can save time, save money. And obviously, cybersecurity is one way for me to... the way I look at cybersecurity is a little bit like an insurance, right? Mm-hmm. It's you actually prevent the loss of time and the loss of money that could happen in the future.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So a little bit different. Our audience is small to mid-sized businesses, and everybody's got a different definition of that. So, usually on the lower end, it might be 5 or 10 employees. On the upper end, we might be 100, 200, even 300 employees. Your focus is a solopreneur. Tell me a little bit about why you chose that audience.
So first of all, because I'm a solopreneur myself.
Okay.
And so I believe that I'm well equipped. I am knowledgeable about the challenges of being a solo business owner and having to, in my case, being on the Apple platform since 2007. So I've had a 9-to-5 for an American Fortune 500 American company here in Luxembourg. And obviously it was PCs. And for me, so I was on PCs until 2016. But on the personal side, 2007 is when I actually started to fully migrate at home to the Mac platform. So I have experience with both platforms. And yeah, the reason why I went solopreneur is also because it's like, I don't know from which number of employees do you see companies having IT staff really in-house?
In-house, probably 50 plus, 100.
50.
Yeah, anywhere between, depending on the industry, but yeah, between 50 to 100.
And really, it's trending more to outsourcing even on the larger organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least co-manage.
Right.
Yeah. Because when I started providing IT services as well, so consulting, and I realized that very quickly, and it was very small businesses, like 10 or less, right? And I became the IT guy. Right?
Yeah.
If you can if you can teach someone how to use a computer, you're supposed to also be able to fix the printer, fix the fax, fix everything.
Wiring, mount the TV, take care of their
Yep.
phone system.
Exactly. And actually, I hated that because when I left corporate, I wanted to have freedom. I wanted to have a bit of time freedom, and to suddenly become the firefighter for small businesses was not the life that I was imagining. And so, yeah, for me, going solopreneur and also going more on the teaching side of things, which is why at EasyTech now, I'm focusing on IT training. And one of the things is cybersecurity awareness, smartphone security awareness trainings, yes.
I love it. Honestly, the solopreneur category is one that is very underserved in the IT community in general. IT, cybersecurity, whatever. In fact, I do serve that market. At least I don't market to them because it's very expensive to gain new clients, and you never make the money back, which is why IT companies generally don't serve that market. Sadly. That said, I do have a few. Oh, hang on, I got a story. No, this poor sweet lady was just breached not long ago. Called me up and we had to go in and clean things up. She'd lost some money, but it illustrates exactly why this market is so important. So I love that you are serving that. There we go, Mario. I'm done with my speech. Go ahead.
So, Damien, if you're working with somebody and they hire a new employee, do you get rid of them or?
Well, maybe spit my drink. I spit my drink out. God damn it, Mario. You're fired. Oh, famous words of our current president.
No, it is. It is very hard to work with a single person, because also you don't want to, they tend to be a little more price conscious because they feel like they want, they're not always having problems. Where if you're in working with a company that's like 20 users, it's safe to say that at least daily or every other day or every a couple times a week, somebody's going to have something that you need to help with. So the single ones are definitely underserved. So that's good.
Yeah, my solo client, it's really mainly what I call coaching. It's not truly coaching, but it's between training and consulting. And I'm a bit pickier now with my clients. I really want clients who want to learn, right? So that if they have a problem and they call me, I will teach them how to notice the problem and how to fix the problem, so that the next time they could do it by themselves.
Right.
And
you definitely keep yourself busy, because with Macs, they're constantly moving things and changing, the where things are, and once you finally get the hang of it, they just change it on you again. So I can see how you stay busy. So that's good.
Unlike Microsoft, who never changes anything. All right, Mario, come on, you can do better than that. Listen, I will out myself as the Mac neutral member of the group, and I don't want to brag, but I've been using Apple products since like 1980 something with the Apple IIe. So I cut my teeth on Apple, so I can't hate on them too hard. But we are.
Don't get me wrong. I have an Apple phone.
Oh shit, Mario!
I love the phone. I love the phone. My wife will only work with Mac OS. So it's we battle all the time at the house.
I've never had to kick somebody off before. I'm trying to figure out how to like close out your feed right now. All right, guys.
The computers itself, that's a battle I don't want to get into.
Well, tough shit. Because here we go. So here, guys, is the question of the day. Damien, are Apple products more secure? Yes or no? True or false?
No, they are not. They are not more secure.
Guys, and that's a wrap. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time. Take care.
We win. We win.
All right. Okay. So listen, a little bit of background. When before each of these episodes, when we bring on a guest, I always have just a short interview with them initially, right, ahead of time. And then like, well, let's figure out what we're going to talk about and stuff like that. First question I asked Damien was, are Apple products more secure? And I fully expected him to say yes. And then I was just going to say, all right, deuces, we're out. But he didn't. He passed the test. He said, no, they're not. So today, Damien, I want to pick your brain and I want to really dig into this. In all seriousness, I do believe that there are strengths and weaknesses on both sides. And that's what I want to dig into. So where is Windows more vulnerable? Where is Windows more secure? Same question for Macintosh, Apple, iPhone, whatever. Where is it more vulnerable? Where is it more secure? And then we're going to kind of wrap this up with where it's all neutral, where it's all the same, because some of it is specific to hardware and software, operating system, what have you. Some of it's not. So guys, let's jump in. And I'm just going to throw this out for open discussion. Where is Windows worse? Mario, you can't talk here because you love them so much.
No, I mean, Windows, obviously it's, me personally, if I was a hacker, right, and I'm going to go and create something, I'm going to create it for the larger market share,
Right.
75, 80% of the market, and that's where it's worse. It's more easily distributed, and it does allow things to get through simpler. It's not a locked system like Microsoft is. I'm sorry, like Mac is. So that's where the downfall for Windows is.
Okay, Damien, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the install base is roughly 90% market share globally. So yeah, it's a bigger target. Also, there's because of that, and I don't blame necessarily Microsoft, but because they have such a big market share, they are also more reluctant than Apple to remove the problematic and legacy stuff from their operating system. And so I guess you guys also listen to the Security Now podcast with Steve Gibson, and every other week or at least once a month is like, how come Microsoft left this very old component still in Windows today, right? 20 years later.
Give me an example of that. What's an example?
So there was an example in IIS, if I remember correctly, in one of the episodes, where they had a component that they left since, I don't remember now which version of Windows, but it was 2000 or even before 2000. And yeah, they left it there. And the last one that he mentioned is something that actually Microsoft isn't acknowledging as a threat or an issue, is with the LNK files. That the fact that it's possible to obfuscate things in the path of the LNK file. And so now bad guys, they just ask people to download an LNK file. When you look at the thing, it looks legit, but actually, no, it's going to go somewhere else, and you double click, and you can potentially get hacked.
Game over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the ecosystem of Windows versus Apple/Mac. Definitely tighter control on the Apple side. What are the pros and cons from security, from end user? How's that helping and hurting?
Well, I think from like a Windows, point of view, if you want to create like a program, you could create it, test it, and and run it. With Mac, you have to go through a little more loophole, or not loopholes,
Hoops.
security measures,
Yeah.
hoops. That's it. Get it approved, and then put it on like their platform and stuff like that. I'm not sure about the PCs, but I know with like the iPhones, if you put something on like the App Store, Apple also wants a share, of like the monthly, cost and stuff like that. I'm not positive about the desktop versions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the difference between the iOS platforms and the macOS platform is that on iOS it's a little bit more restricted on which apps you can run and how to install applications. Now, there's a misconception that the only way to run apps on iPhone is through the iOS App Store. There are other ways, right? There is one way, which is test flight. It's possible to, and developers use that test flight for beta version of their applications, but sometimes bad guys, they advertise applications that get only delivered through test flight. And I was once part of a test program. I had a friend of mine who had actually a test application. And yes, there is some automated review of the app, but it's not as thorough as when you submit it to the App Store. So there is a little bit more leeway for malware to go through. But then there is an entirely different mechanism to run applications completely outside of the App Store. And this is actually sanctioned by Apple in the sense that large companies, they have internal applications, right? That you and I cannot find on the App Store, but it's for the employees of the large corporation.
Right.
They need a mechanism for their employees to run their iOS app. And so what happens is that they sign a certificate that is also signed by Apple. That certificate gets installed and it's available in the settings app on the iPhone. And that certificate says this app can run. And then they have a mechanism to install the application outside from the App Store. And then you can run the applications like that. And Meta got caught
What else is new?
Oh boy.
using that scheme so they were like rewarding students with gift cards and stuff like that to install basically spyware. Right?
Oh,
Meta created
really?
an application that was able to collect much more information than a traditionally sandboxed app on an iPhone. And yeah.
I wish I was surprised. Listen, we're going to tangent for a second. There's all the talk about TikTok and the spyware and how bad it is and the evil Chinese. And I don't know that I have much of an opinion there other than every one of us is packing around a device that is spyware, period. That's all it is. That's all it is. It listens to everything we say, whether it's Facebook or Google or TikTok. Oh my God, it's gathering all the information. And I don't know. Let's dig into this for a second, because one of the pushbacks that is becoming more and more common is, why do I care? If I'm not doing anything bad, why do I care? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I kind of have that same mentality. Like, I never really uninstalled, TikTok off my phone. I kind of have an addiction with TikTok, if you ask my wife.
Oh boy.
But it's like I don't have anything on there that that if it gets leaked, that I'm not securing, that it would be a problem. You know.
Just the mindset of I don't have anything to hide. I don't care about my privacy. In general, not TikTok specific, because this came up as Facebook using kind of a side door, back door, whatever you want to call it, that Apple allows. They're violating or misusing an Apple system, right, to do things that Apple does not want them to do.
Yeah, and by the way,
But
Apple revoked their certificate.
oh,
And
really?
and for 2 days, nobody at Meta could use any applications, internal applications.
That's funny.
And this was like, I think they understood. They understood they crossed a line that they should not have.
That's funny. I
Yeah.
love that. I actually love that.
But to come back, because I talked
Yeah.
about iOS, right? But
Mhm.
on macOS, this is where macOS is a little bit less secure, in the sense that there are three kinds of applications that we can install. We can install application from the Mac App Store, the same way that we have the Windows Store now. And those applications need to be approved by Apple. And then we have what they called identified developers. And what happens is that the developer needs to register with Apple, and the application are notarized. So again, there is a certificate mechanism, which means that the developer can then publish the app on a website. I can download the app, install the app. The operating system will see that it's notarized, will recognize the certificate, will let it run. And that also allows Apple, and I don't know on the Microsoft side if it's possible, but that means that for those kind of applications, whether it's App Store or notarized, Apple has a kill switch, right? If they realize an application is malware, they can kill it on all Mac hardware, because the next time somebody will double click on it to run it, it will not run. It will be prevented from running.
Okay.
And then you have the applications that are not notarized. And there, Apple has slightly and over time increased the security of the system. Until the latest version, which is Sequoia, the trick was you right-click on the app and you say open. So people will double-click, and if you double-click, you will get a pop-up that says not authorized by Apple or not notarized. You will not be able to run it. So basic users normally are protected. Advanced users know, right-click, open, and it opens. And obviously the bad guys, what do? They explain.
Yeah.
Please,
You
to
have to
open
right-click
it,
this one.
right-click,
Yeah.
open. And so what Apple has done is with Sequoia now, you can still do right-click, open, but it will not open. It will give you a pop-up message telling you to
Nice.
go to the Settings app. And in the Settings app, you have to click on a button to allow the app to run. The first time.
And this is where it gets crazy, because you go into settings and then you have to turn on like the file and recorder, then you have to turn, especially with just like security tools, like Sentinel-1. We use Sentinel-1 for all our systems. And you have to go into 11 different spots and allow it, and then put in the password, then go somewhere else, allow it, put in your password, allow it, put in your password, stop, drop, and roll, and then pray that it will show up. And It doesn't. It doesn't show up. It doesn't work. And then they keep changing where they put it. So you can't even document stuff accurately because by next month they've moved everything, where it was. And it's like,
Yeah,
oh my God.
I've stopped preparing training material on Apple and making screenshots because every year and sometimes every 6 months I had to change all the screenshots, and I was like, forget it. I'm going to do coaching.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like if you have like some things with Apple are awesome. Like, AirDrop, I love that you can just AirDrop like a picture from your phone to your computer or vice versa. If you have an Apple phone with a MacBook, you can, text message will come to both of them. I do have an Apple Watch,
God damn it, Mario.
it's just the PC, the Windows product, and you know what? They don't have it anymore, but Windows used to make phones. I would have probably went with a Windows phone and a Windows watch if they made it.
There's a good reason they quit making those. Those were terrible. I had one.
Remember the Zune?
Oh.
Remember the Zune?
No.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, but Damien, that's why, and like me and my guys, that's where we cringe when we get a phone call from somebody that's on a Mac, and the thing is, they want to use like Microsoft 365, they want to use Exchange, email. Guess what? They don't like playing well together. Even if you just want your emails, they don't play well together, and that's the problem.
And it's getting worse and worse. So all my clients, some of my clients are actually fully into the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, and for them, and I have one client is every time she calls me, I ask her, did you use the Apple Mail app or did you use Outlook? And every time she says, no, I'm using the Apple Mail app. And every time I have to tell her, stop using the Apple Mail app, use Outlook, right? If somebody wants to do Microsoft 365 on a Mac, Outlook is the best for email, calendar, contact, because unfortunately, it has degraded over time. The synchronization is not working as well as before.
Yeah. No, I agree. And like just yesterday, I was on a Mac, client with Mac. He has full Office 365 installed. He can, open up Word. He can open up Excel. Outlook. We're trying to add his email. He logs in, puts in his password, puts in his two-factor authentication, and then it spins, and it just doesn't go. And then you have to kill it and try it again. And it says, "Oh, do you want to register?" And you say yes. And then it comes up with no. It just came up with an answer that just said no. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh God, thank you, Steve Jobs. Rest in peace. Anyways, guys, so okay, Mario, you kind of touched on one that I wanted to talk about, is where I believe that as the Mac neutral guy here, where I do think that Mac is, I don't want to say behind, but definitely where there might be a vulnerability is that there are fewer resources. So number one, they're better because they have a smaller footprint and they aren't as big of a target for the bad guys, right? But that comes with payload. And the problem with that is there aren't as many effective mainstream security tools for Mac. At least that's my experience. Damien, what are your thoughts on that? Is that true or false?
It's partly true. So I'm using Sophos and I'm installing Sophos on all the computers. And Sophos is multi-platform. It's one of the less resource-intensive anti-malware on the Mac. The built-in security of macOS is much worse than the built-in than Microsoft Defender, right? Nowadays, Microsoft Defender most people could just live with that.
It's pretty solid.
I know it's not 100% perfect, but it's a very good product.
Yeah.
Whereas the built-in Gatekeeper and Xprotect on the Mac is is laughable. The number of it's 20-something families of malware only natively recognized, right? So for me, Sophos immediately, and that's to give you an idea. The home version of Sophos is totally free, 3 computers. It doesn't have advanced protection like anti-ransomware, but it has the basic capabilities. I pay very, I don't remember how much, it's very like $45 per year or something. It's ridiculous, the price. And it covers 10 computers. Macs or PCs, by the way. So it's both, right? I have one of my daughters has a gaming PC, so it's protected. I'm doing IT training on Microsoft Office. I have a PC. I have a Lenovo ThinkPad.
That a boy.
The good old,
we're all friends again.
It has obviously Sophos on it as well, right? And with Sophos, I can do webcam monitoring, microphone monitoring. What else can I do? Yeah, anti-ransomware. So it continuously checks on the Mac whether files are getting encrypted or not, which in some cases is a problem because some applications tend to encrypt data locally, and so Sophos, sometimes there are some false negatives. But and sorry, and I wanted to say, so there is a guy called Patrick Wardle. I don't remember. He worked for for CISA on the NSA or something like that, and he's a Mac guy, and he has a bunch of tools. Patrick Wardle, I'm going to quickly. Objective-C, it's called Objective-C, and the tools there, his toolbox for Mac is incredible, right? So I've installed an application that checks every time that there is a new IP connection from an app, and I can block the IP connection. So I can monitor whenever an app does a web request. I have also an application that checks whether an application installs something as a login item or and stuff like that. So for people the listeners who are on Mac and who are a bit tech savvy, go and see objective-c.org. You will find a lot of useful security
and
tools.
You're saying C as in the letter, not the ocean, right? Objective dash
CSEE, like
the vision. Vision. Okay.
Vision, yes. Objective.
Because while you were talking, I did a quick Google search and I came up with a programming language. So there's many ways we can go wrong here. But Damien, so I wanna talk a little bit about you're kind of identifying another problem that the Mac world faces, is because you're talking about for the tech savvy user, and you just explained stuff that is going to go over almost everybody's head, that just the average computer user, right? And one of the problems that Apple has created, in my experience, is they've kind of kept us from becoming or promoting ourselves as Mac experts. And I haven't done this recently, but I will tell you that years ago, I started running some Google ads that we worked on Macintosh computers. Apple shut me down. So I couldn't even advertise that I would work on their products because they wanted to push everybody to the Genius Bar.
Wow.
And I'm not talking about consumers. I'm trying to help businesses. And I don't know if that's changed. I'm just like, fuck it, guys. Like, if you don't want help, then fine. You come to me and ask if I work on Mac. Yes, I do. My company does. We will help you. I do feel proficient in that world. even though we do have all the problems that Mario is talking about. Yes, things change. But Mario, I hate to break it to you, that is the world of technology. Everything changes all the time, everywhere, which is honestly something that keeps me entertained as a self-diagnosed ADHD person.
Well, Justin, they're changing stuff that's kind of annoying that they're changing. Like, do you know, like my wife, like I told you, my wife, she's a Mac. She loves Mac, and she will get a new like MacBook Pro or MacBook Air or whatever the hell it's called now. And, through her company, they'll get her a new laptop every 2 years. So she keeps getting them and whatever, even and they'll all work fine, but every time she's getting a new one, it's different chargers. Like one is
Oh yeah.
magnetic and then one is not magnetic, then one is USB-C and then they go back to magnetic, and it's like, what the fuck, guys? Like, and and of course my wife tells me, Mario, could you go upstairs and get my charger? I come down with like 7 chargers, and guess what? None of them work.
Okay, but I gotta push back because I threw it away finally, but I had like a great big case of Windows machine laptop chargers that were all different, and by every goddamn manufacturer has 20 different versions of their own chargers. So
that is true. That is true.
I mean, I hear you, and ... I'm not sure how much different it is. But I will just say, like, technology is a pain. I honestly believe that this is a Ford Chevy situation. I think if you are in the Mac world, you do come with a little bit of rose-colored glasses where you do believe everything Mac is great and everything Windows is shit. And vice versa, as Mario is greatly pointing out today, that goes both ways. Here is what I believe. This is the last thing I want to talk about, and then we're going to move to wrap this up. Here's what I believe to be the number one problem with Macintosh computers where security is concerned. And I'm going to put this in quotes because I hear it all the time. Macs are more secure. That, I believe, is the problem. I believe mindset is the problem, because Mac users believe that. True or not, it doesn't matter. What it does mean is they are less apt to have security software. And I love, Damien, that you're pointing out Sophos. I'm going to look more into that one. I use other software. I guess I won't plug names, but I also see a lot of Macs that are unpatched. And when I was doing research for this episode, I found, patching is one of the places where Apple shines because Windows does it all the time, and it's annoying, so people don't do it. You know how many Macs I find that are fully patched? Never. I don't see it. And it's supposed to be automatic. It's supposed to be easy. I don't see that. But I do think, again, coming back to this mindset problem, we're better. We don't have to worry about it. That's our last topic. Damien first, then Mario. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's a complete, total misconception. I see that every time that I talk to other Mac users. They falsely believe that because they have a Mac, it's immune to any kind of malware or stuff like that. That's bullshit. And there is another problem, and something that actually I'm seeing now more and more, because Apple has been quite pushing new features all the time. Number one, macOS is getting buggier and buggier. So
Okay.
they are implementing, they have the Windows 8 or something like that. They have the same, I call that the Windowsification of macOS. Unfortunately, that's the path that Apple has taken, right?
Interesting.
Releasing more new features than fixing existing bugs.
Right.
And as a consequence, some people now are afraid of upgrading and updating.
Yeah.
And from my side, I know that it's important to upgrade. So I would still give a gold star to Apple in the sense that Apple supports the last 3 versions of the operating system. So they continue offering still security updates on, so the latest one at the time of recording is Sequoia, and then the one before Sonoma, and one Ventura. These 3 versions still are getting patched.
Okay.
which is unheard of in the Microsoft and the Windows world. So that's where I would say Apple shines. But on the flip side, they've been so aggressive with new features that myself, I'm still on Ventura because I know that if I go to Sonoma, I'm going to maybe regret it a little bit. And I avoid at all cost the latest version of macOS. And in my mind, installing the latest version of macOS right when it's released, so in September, October, is a security risk. Right?
Yeah.
Because there are so many bugs and unpatched vulnerabilities, unknown vulnerabilities, and also from a user perspective, because people think security equals malware. No, right? If you lose data, if Preview, which is the equivalent of Adobe PDF, overwrites stuff, removes the OCR, because it has happened in the past, and people have lost the OCR portions of their PDFs just by opening them after the upgrade. It's like
nice. All
And
right, Mario, your turn.
not to mention that I remember I mentioned this to my cousins, my two cousins that I'm really close with. I'm like, every time I update my phone before the new iPhone comes out, all of a sudden my phone starts getting really, really slow. And they looked at me, they're like, "You're a conspiracy theorist. You're crazy. You're absolutely nuts. That's not true." And I said it for years. I'm like,
I confirm. I have the same experience.
yeah. And guess what? All of a sudden, Mac gets hit with this billion-dollar lawsuit that they were doing it on purpose. They were purposely slowing down, at least that I know of, their phones because they wanted to push you to the new one. And that's that kind of, but I'm still an iPhone user. I like the blue bubbles. I don't like the green bubbles when I'm texting, but coming back to security, I mean, I think they're more secure because nobody knows how to freaking install anything on there without actually, like we're I can tell you this. I think half our Macs are probably like we have half the antivirus installed because when we install it, we have to go through 5 more steps. And I think my guys are probably going through 3 and then just say, fuck it. I don't know what else to do. But it comes back to a lot of what I said earlier as well. Like they are just as vulnerable, but hackers and stuff like that, they're going to go after the bigger part of the pie, the 80% of the people out there, even just through customers of mine, a lot of the bigger offices, 20 or more users, the majority of the computers will be Windows-based computers. And then you'll have the random, owners that want to use a Mac. They're the ones that get the Mac computer. So they're going to go after the 80, percent, because it's a numbers game. When they send out spam and stuff like that, it's a numbers game.
Well, so Mario, you're absolutely right. I think there's 2 categories the main categories that the hackers are targeting. And one is this great big target. It's more efficient that way. But the other one, I think, is this mindset of I'm not vulnerable. Right. And that is where like Windows is more at risk because there's more of them. It's more economical, cost effective for people to attack Windows. But it's also, I believe, a lot of Mac users are an easier target because of this mindset that, it's not going to happen to me. I don't have to worry about it.
They think they're bulletproof.
Yeah. Damien, any final